Guidelines for transgender students are back on the books at Comstock Public Schools, but this time under an existing policy. The change comes after the standalone policy for trans students was removed in the spring. News 8's Josh Sanchez has been following this story since then and has more on the change.
In March, Comstock Public School leaders said that protection for transgender students would remain despite rescinding the policy. This week, the superintendent announced that guidelines covering those protections would be in an addendum to the district's non-discrimination, anti-harassment, and non-retaliation policy. Some attending Monday night's Comstock Public Schools Board of Education meeting welcomed the administration's move to add the language as guidance to carry out an existing policy. Side by side, old policy 5106 for trans students and the administrative guidelines for policy 3115, a wider reaching non-discrimination policy, look almost identical. The guidelines read gender non-conforming students instead of transgender students. However, most of the language is the same, from the gender support plan to restroom and locker room access. Earlier in the year, the board voted to remove policy 5106 in order to reduce the district's risk as federal officials crack down on these types of policies in schools. Superintendent Jeff Tanis says while the board votes on policies, administrative officials are left to carry out the goals through guidelines. He says this set of guidelines are compromise.
Reassured the board we weren't going to put the district at risk financially for loss of federal funding in any way, and it also reassured our community that students would have these types of protections. All of our students would have these kind of protections.
It was presented to the board via email and shared Monday night, needing only board awareness, not an approval. Tanis says it was well received by the district leaders and concerned parents.
I feel like now we have a path forward for our principals and for our students and staff, as well as our community and our board.
Morgan Stevenson says she has friends within the district and worked with other parents to push back on the repeal vote. Stevenson calls Tanis brave for making the move. However, there's a worry that guidelines might fall to the wayside under different leadership.
Just as Dr. Tanis dropped that in there, these children are only protected for as long as he's the superintendent, because the next superintendent could just come right back in and remove it as quickly as he entered it.
Stevenson emphasizes that this is a good first step, but says advocates want to see the district further cement protections for transgender students. In Comstock, Josh Sanchez, News 8.